But okay, wait, but what? Why would someone need an emergency root canal? Isn't this something like?
Well, it can happen if you have an abscess. So an abscess tooth, it's like I think it's like an infection. I'm not a dentist.
Unhinged dentistry here.
643 dentistry. Dude, that rhymes. We should freaking make that.
No, yeah, that might have to be yeah.
Hosted by Domingo Herman and Aaron Judge.
Good one. No, but listen, apparently what they said about Domingo Herman is he's available like in multiple capacities today. Now, here's my thought, right? If you could bring Domingo out of the bullpen today, why couldn't he just start?
Well, the dentist appointment might have been shortly before the game, and he might have Novocaine wearing off or something. I don't know.
My mind is just a little bit blown behind like this whole scenario here. Like if someone told me when I woke up this morning, hey Pat, like Domingo Herman's not going to be starting today because of an emergency root canal, I probably would have been like, yeah, like I'm not even surprised at this point. This is just like typical Yankee stuff.
Dude, I had to pitch the day after I had 4 wisdom teeth removed. I'm not sure if you know how intensive that is, but they actually like drill into your jaw and remove them. And my face swole up like really, really bad. And I had a game for my wood bat league the next night, and I had to pitch in it. And then I had to get on a plane after that and fly to Wichita, Kansas for the Semi-Pro World Series, where it was 112 degrees. And my roommate was this like ghetto kid who stole like all my Vicodin. And so,
Derek, yeah, what?
I've got an exciting life story.
All right, moving on. Listen, shout out to Derek's roommate. Former roommate, that is. But did you hear about the Darren O'Day news? He's injured again.
Hamstring, right?
Apparently, Boone said that he crumpled to the floor or something, and it was a significant injury. That's not what you want to hear. Based on hearing that, I'm hopeful that we're going to see Darren O'Day at some point this season again. But like at this point, I'm kind of doubtful now.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see him again. One, he's 38 years old, so he's no spring chicken. I'd argue that we're probably not going to see him with the Yankees ever again. My guess is he signs with Boston in the offseason and shoves it against us next year.
Yeah, Ottavino style. Essentially, yeah,
exactly what's going to happen.
It's so mind-blowing because, like, we basically dealt Ottavino to the Red Sox kind of like a throwaway, right? We just wanted to, like, free up for some room in the luxury tax department. And it seems like all the acquisitions that we made with that money just haven't paid off, right? Because with that money, we signed what? We signed Darren O'Day and Justin Wilson instead of having Ottavino, and both of those have backfired tremendously, and Ottavino's a stud with the Red Sox. So that's just Yankee luck at its finest.
Yeah, that's first of all, anybody with a brain could see that Justin Wilson was washed up. I mean, you watch him, his spin rate was okay, but I mean, he has nothing. And I like the O'Day move. I was a big fan of the O'Day move, and I really thought that was kind of a genius move. Deal Ottavino and then get basically an Ottavino for pennies on the dollar, but I didn't factor in Father Time. I figured that a guy who throws, sidearm / almost submarine wouldn't have arm problems, but I didn't factor in old guys like myself. I'm 38, can have leg issues, especially a hot summer, and he's been having issues all year, but in the heat, it can be really tough on your muscles.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't know because, I'm only like 12. So, like, bro, but I'm assuming, like, as you get older, like Darren O'Day, he's got a little bit more ailments than a guy like Fernando Tatis Jr. would, for example. But Nick Nelson, kind of like we mentioned, because Domingo Herman with the emergency root canal thing, he's starting tonight for the Yankees. I can't see him going too long, right? Because I was assuming that maybe like in an emergency start situation, you'd throw Nestor Cortez out there, but he just pitched on Sunday, right? So he's probably not available tonight, unless they want to use him for just like an inning or two. But I don't know what the Yankees' plan is after Nick Nelson. Maybe you just do like a combination of like Cesa. Cesa's one guy that we could talk about in a little bit. But what do you think about Nelson's role tonight?
I think Nelson's probably going to go 2 innings. You'd hope to get 2 innings out of him. Yeah. Get through the first 6 or 7 hitters. It might be one of those things where it's like go as long as you can, right? If you're pitching well, you keep pitching well because they're going to send you down when the game's over and get somebody fresh in here. My guess is that he's going to probably they're trying to go 2, but I'm not sure he's going to make it that long because he has not been good this year. Yeah, I'm guessing he goes 1 2/3 maybe.
It's so weird because going into the season, like Nick Nelson was like that X factor in the Yankees bullpen, right? We know that he has the stuff to kind of dominate in the big leagues, but he just never really kind of put everything together. I think he lacks like serious control issues, and that's kind of what's been holding him back. But I just want to see Nick Nelson kind of like start to put it together because personally, I see it the same as like an Adam Ottavino here because I know for a fact once Nick Nelson goes to another team, like the Rays, for example, he's going to turn into an absolute stud. And it pisses me off that we can't see that from him on the Yankees, right?
Yeah, somebody else just said in the comments that I think it was CC Art said that Nick Nelson has good stuff. I'll stand by that no matter what. Yeah, and look, the stats are not pretty, right? He's got a 9.75 ERA or something like that. But you cannot argue with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball and a nasty hook. The question with Nick Nelson has always been command. And for a lot of young pitchers, it's command. Unfortunately, the Yankees do have kind of a quick hook with young pitchers. So if they start to struggle, fans like you and me throw a fit, get him out of here. We don't want to see him anymore. And he doesn't get a chance to develop. And so the Yankees end up getting rid of it. So really, we should just all have a nice therapy session for Nick Nelson if he gets ripped up tonight, rather than come on here and tell everybody how bad he sucks.
Yeah, I don't think he will, to be. I think Nick Nelson's going to be pretty decent. I don't think he gives up more than 2 runs, if I'm being honest with you. I don't think they'll let him have a clunker. I think if he does start to struggle, they'll just pull him early because he's not going to give them any sort of length anyway.
Well, that's the thing. There's not a ton of guys that you can bring. I mean, you could bring in Cesa, but I don't think that you want to burn your entire bullpen when you got Houston coming up.
Yeah. Listen, shout out to Leanna with the $2 donor. Appreciate you, Leanna. She says, "What about King? Is King available tonight? When was the last time he pitched?"
I feel like he just pitched.
No, I feel like he pitches every day.
He does. Like every time I freaking look at the starting lineup, who's pitching today? Mike King. You know, for real. I do those like pregame shows where I do the lineup and the starting pitcher, and I drag in like a reel of the starting pitcher for that day. I feel like 3 times in a row that I did it. It was Mike King, and it was in about a week.
I like Mike King though. Like I feel like I'm in such a minority here when I say like, bro, I don't think King is that bad. I think that he's just a guy who is like kind of plugged into a scenario that's like not who he is. I don't think Michael King's a starting pitcher.
He's a relief pitcher.
Exactly. And I think that he's best suited when coming out of the bullpen. And he's kind of shown that since they took him out of the rotation.
Yeah. By the way, is my mic coming in okay? I'm wearing headphones, so it sounds to me like I'm screaming.
No, yeah, I think it's coming in solid. No, I think it's coming in solid.
Okay.
But like, yeah, go on about King.
So Mike King, his problem seems to be the first 4 or 5 hitters of the lineup in the first inning. Because when you bring him in the second inning, he's fine. You bring him in second through the 9th inning, I think he's got like a 2 ERA. But when you start him at the top of the game, it's probably a combination of just not getting enough sink on the sinker early, right out of the gate. And I don't know if that's just because, he doesn't warm up enough as a starter or whatever, but there's something too coming out of the bullpen where his routine works. It just works. And so he doesn't have that issue. And so I just like him better out of the bullpen.
Yeah, no, I agree 1,000%. And another guy, like I mentioned before, that I want to touch on, I love Luis Cesa. Now, I don't know like what this dude has to do to kind of earn himself some more like high leverage spots, but I kind of get tired of the Yankees like only using Luis Cesa as like their mop-up guy and the guy who they're going to throw in there in like a 15-run game, whether they're winning or losing. Cesa has been one of the most underrated arms in the Yankees bullpen for years now. And I feel like whenever you mention the name, I guess people just have like past PTSD with Luis Cesa, but like it seems like majority of the fan base hates him for no reason. And I know he's not like the most sexy guy out there with the most velocity and the nastiest stuff, but it seems like he always gets the job done.
I'm of 2 opinions on Luis Cesa. One, I do think he's been better the last couple of years. I think his ERA last year was 3.52. I don't have it in front of me this year, but I think it's somewhere in that range. It's like 3 or so. But he's been really, really sharp this year. However, he hasn't really done it in big spots, so I'm nervous about putting him in there in a big opportunity, though. That's what I mean, though. Like, if somebody comes in a big spot, like, you've got to feed him in there at some point, but he's kind of been pigeonholed for so long, like you said, in this mop-up role that he really hasn't gotten that chance. I'm sure he's been in there 1 or 2 times to close it out in a game, and I'd be interested in seeing what those numbers are. But I agree with you. He's got good stuff. He's got a upper 90s fastball, and he's got a good, sharp breaking ball, and he's always around the plate. He's not a guy who walks a ton of guys, but he does give up home runs. So I think that's something the Yankees are wary of.
I guess. I mean, I just kind of look at it and listen, I love Lucas Licky, right? But I feel like he gets opportunities in high leverage spots 10 times more than a guy like Luis Cesa ever has. Even Wandy Peralta, when they first acquired him, they were using Wandy in high leverage spots in like game 2 as a New York Yankee. So I don't know. I just like to see him get a little bit more credit where credit's due. But Derek, next week is the All-Star game, futures game, whatever. Did we talk about Dominguez and how he's kind of making his futures debut? I think we touched on it a little bit last week.
It had just been announced.
Yeah.
So what's your prediction? What do you think he's going to do?
I think we talked about this last week, and I'm sticking by my prediction here. I think he goes yard. Like, I think it's just one of those things where it's like I'm not like completely expecting it to happen. I know for a fact it's gonna happen. Like, I'm like full Pat Stradamus here. I know Jason Dominguez is going yard on Sunday.
I stick with me for a second because this is kind of a long denouement, but Michael K has this thing where he says you don't get great by accident. You don't get the name Godzilla like Hideki Matsui did and get your picture on an airplane by accident. You have to do great things in great moments. If Jason Dominguez is to be great, this could be the first chapter written or the second chapter following the, his signing and the all that. The first chapter written in a professional career that may very well end up in the Hall of Fame if his career goes as we think. But I'm not counting on him to hit a home run. He's only got 2 hits in the minors. Honestly, I think he's going to walk. He's walked 6 times. It seems to be what he's doing. I don't think somebody wants to give up a home run to the Martian in the future game. You don't get the nickname the Martian by not being great in great moments. So let's hope he lives up to his name, but I think he's going to walk.
Listen, I'm excited for it regardless. Like, I think it's just kind of like out of All-Star Weekend, I don't want to say that's the thing I'm looking forward to the most, but it's definitely up there on my list simply because, like, we're looking at the Yankees that are in the All-Star game. The Yankees only have 1 starter. And then the other guys who are in there, I believe it's Chapman and Cole, 2 guys who have been struggling as of late, so I'm not too keen on seeing them in there. But also the home run derby is pretty fascinating. I'm pretty sure they announced all the contestants here. I'm going to try to remember them off the top of my head. I believe it's Pete Alonso, Juan Soto, Trey Mancini, Shohei Ohtani, Salvador Perez, Trevor Story,
and Joey Gallo.
And Derek, I got 7 out of 8. Let's go.
That's pretty good.
All right. If you had to make an early prediction right now, because we're not going to be going live for 643 DP before the home run derby, who do you got winning?
I got Joey Gallo. I think Joey Gallo, who hits those
shots today.
Well, he hits those high arcing, long fly balls, and that's dangerous in Colorado, especially in right center field. There's kind of like a jet stream out there, and it's a long way. But I think you're going to see some 500-foot home runs from Gallo. And let's not discount Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
What he's done is unreal.
It's stupid. Yeah, it's actually stupid. I mean, if I had to make my prediction, I'm thinking don't sleep on Trevor Story. Listen, I know he's not like the sexiest pick, but like, let's remember, bro, like he's in his home stadium in Colorado. He's definitely going to have a little bit more adrenaline than everyone else. I think he's probably my front runner right now, even though you do have guys like Gallo and Ohtani in there. Bro, I'm kind of going out there. I'm going in left field with my pick. But I'm excited for it regardless. Did you see Ohtani's home run? I think it was today.
Jesus, he's unbelievable. He broke Matsui's record.
But also the whole part of his home run, like it's not his home run that blew my mind today. It's Matt Vasgersian's call, Derek. I love Matt Vasgersian. Listen. I know sometimes announcers are a little bit overrated, underrated when it comes to like professional sports. I think no one gets enough credit. No one is more underrated than Matt Vasgersian is. He's my favorite announcer of all time. Maybe that's just like a generational thing, but bro, I think he deserves so much more credit.
Well, I'm, almost 20 years older than you, and I love Matt Vasgersian. The first time I heard Matt Vasgersian was, I want to say MLB 06, the show. It was like one of the first editions on PlayStation, and they had gone from using, I want to say it was Vin Scully, who's great, by the way, but I guess he got tired of sitting in the booth there. And so they brought in Matt Vasgersian, and I remember thinking, wow, this guy's really good because he was doing that Santa Maria even way back then. I think there's still a few calls in the game from the original Matt Vasgersian library that they recorded. And so when that happened, he became a household name for me. And then when MLB Network started, I was so glad to see that Matt Vasgersian got put on as a regular, because to me, he's about as good as it gets. My all-time favorite, I'd have to say, is John Sterling. I just love, even though he's one of the worst. He's just one of the worst. But he was the voice. He gets everything wrong. He gets everything wrong. But I just love his voice. It's just one of those. It's like James Earl Jones or something, you know?
No, yeah. Listen, I mean, we're on the topic of announcers. Watching the game last night, Derek, I have to admit to you, I think we're inching closer and closer to the day where like Ryan Ruocco needs to like start taking some more time in that yes booth. He's amazing at what he does.
Dude, and you notice that well, he pretty much always does Seattle. He called that Aaron Judge home run that went to like the top of the upper deck that
2017, I think.
Yeah. He's one of the best. I love Ryan Ruocco. I'm hoping that he can take over for Michael Kay when Michael Kay ultimately leaves. But I don't see Michael Kay ever leaving the Yankees broadcast booth. It's all he'll leave the radio show before he leaves the broadcast booth. He wants to be like
really weird. Yeah. It's really weird to me because I think Kay is so much more in his element on his radio show. I think he's awesome on the Michael Kay show. In the yes booth, though, I think that I don't think anyone makes more mistakes than Michael Kay does. And even when he's actually at the stadium, it seems like he's just missing out on so many different things, so many errors. But I would love to see Ryan Ruocco get a little bit more time in the booth, especially for home games. That would be awesome.
I'll give you my thoughts on Michael Kay in the booth. It sounds like he's very much in awe of the players that he's around, and it's been that way since Bobby Mercer was there. He's never really been a TV guy. He's a great radio guy. He was the color man for John Sterling most of the time, and he would do this thing where he would describe the uniforms, the interlocking NY and the pinstripes.
I hate that. I'm sorry. I hate that.
I used to love it. I mean, I loved it. I grew up listening to it. So again, nostalgia for me. But he seems like he's trying to schmooze with Paul O'Neill and David Cohn, and he's constantly jacking them off about their career and their number, and just like, it's like, we get it, we could it. They were good at baseball. We saw. Can we talk about what's happening on the field, please?
Give me some more Ryan Ruocco in my life. But let's hit on a couple of donos we have in the chat. Shout out to Jesus with a $2 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. He says, Nick Nelson, we lost Hideki Matsui, a Yankee great. I'm confused.
Did Matsui die?
Derek, I don't think so. I hope not.
I think he might be talking about how Matsui's record got broken by Ohtani.
Okay, that would. I mean, but the way that was kind of worded, it was like Nick Nelson maybe killed Hideki Matsui.
Dude, how crazy would that be? You know how big the freaking videos would get on that? That like the new OJ trial. That would be awesome.
I mean,
that wouldn't be awesome. That would be terrible. But
the first thing you're thinking of, man, the content I'd be able to get out of that.
That's how you go up the charts, baby. You got to be single-minded focus.
Shout out to Yolvis with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, Yolvis. He said, never seen two goats talking to one another. My favorite comment of all time.
That is a fucking great comment. Oh, sorry.
No, you're good. It happens with Dan all the time. Listen, but also shout out to Jesus with another $5 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. He says, we got the two best Yankee content vloggers on the same show. Let's go, Yankees. Hopefully we win. And of course, Frazier sucks. Is Jesus usually in your chat too?
Nobody messes with the Jesus. Yeah, he's got his own custom dono sound.
He hates Clint Frazier, like with a burning passion.
Yeah.
He makes it known.
I've noticed that. You know, one of the great things about having these channels is that you get to know the personalities of all these people. When I first started, I didn't know who any of these people were. Yeah. Lori C. or, you know, I see Michael Caputo. He always has interesting comments on your channel.
So positive. He's so positive.
And then, you know, Yo Elvis is great. I'm scrolling through the chat because we have a lot of the same people. Obviously, THG, great mod. And
greatest mod in the world, by the way.
I just kind of threw modding onto him. And he's just run with it. And now he's doing like 2 of the top 5 Yankees channels, and he's just crushing it.
He's a legend.
By the way, you should send him some unhinged merch. I sent him some NYY Recaps merch, and I'm going to send him some more.
No, bro, THG, if you're in here, mod of the century, bro. I want to pull up this comment here. Christopher says, Ruocco took over for Sterling in 2019 when John was sick. I totally forgot about that. But Ruocco killed it in that position too. I think maybe what they'll probably do is, I'm assuming like Sterling's going to be leaving before Kay does. So they might have Ruocco kind of take over for Sterling once he leaves, and then eventually move him up to the yes booth once Kay leaves. But we're kind of talking about the yes booth here, Derek. Did you hear like the Spanish broadcast coinciding with the regular yes broadcast last night?
So I was watching, but I had the volume down because I was watching in bed. My wife was sleeping next to me. And so I kind of had the volume low, but I could hear like two people talking at the same time. And I audibly said, "What the hell is going on?" And my wife was like, "What?" And I was just like, "Sorry, I was talking to the TV, honey." But yeah, that was weird. And so I actually muted it, and I put on a Quentin Tarantino movie on my phone and listened to that while the game was on.
Bro, I don't know about you, but I feel like this happens way too often with Yes. I feel like there's like so many like of these technical difficulties for $1 billion company. I don't know who their production team is, but whoever it is, like someone needs to hold. Maybe they hold the same amount of accountability as like the Yankees in the clubhouse do. It's like no one's held accountable for anything. It's like, listen, the Spanish broadcast coincides with the English one for the entire first inning. That's okay. No one takes any sort of accountability for it.
So do you do this from like a college dorm room or something like that?
Do
Or
I?
yeah,
I do it in my bedroom.
Your bed. So
Yeah.
what kind of internet connection do you have?
Solid. Wait, like the company?
Yeah, like is it like a wired connection or do you have
Yeah,
like
I have an Ethernet cable going from my computer to the router.
yeah, so that's what I've got to do. Like there's all sorts of technical issues that come along with, this type of thing. And I'm not going to fault Yes Network. It's hard to do a perfect broadcast. I've had a bunch. Like I had one that had stats wrong the other day, and I like double check too. But like it's tough to be perfect. So I'm not going to give them too hard of a time. But yes, if you're hiring, I happen to produce baseball content, and 3.5 million viewers can't be wrong. So give me a call.
Derek's self-plugging himself right now to Yes Network. I don't know if any of them are watching, but listen, I vouch for Derek too, if my opinion counts for anything. But yeah, bro, that Ethernet connection is the way to go. But then again, like I have so many technical difficulties too. Like sometimes I'll just pop on and my camera will just keep cutting out, but like the chat can still hear me even though they can't see me. I'm just like, bro, what are we doing? I'll just start screaming like out of nowhere and they can't see me, but they can hear me. Yeah, like not
I
so
had my
family
camera
fun
go out a
vision.
few times.
Pat, you don't have good internet. Don't try that. Yeah, that's my number one guy right there.
Does your stream ever get interrupted? Like, do you ever cut out?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
That's what I need. That's what I need to get a wired internet connect. So I ordered this thing. I have a friend who's like a computer networking person, and they told me to get this plug that you plug into the wall, and then you plug it in one by your computer, and they both connect to like one connects to the router and the other connects to your computer with a wire. And he said that way you can get like gigabyte Ethernet or whatever over the power. And so I ordered one of those, and I'm going to try that out this weekend. It's supposed to be here Saturday. But if that doesn't work, I'm going to have a company come over and put a hard line in this room because I got to get fast. If I'm going to be streaming, I've got to have fast internet.
No, yeah, it takes up so much internet to do that. But Derek, kind of going back to today's game, the Yankees, like we mentioned before, they're going up against. I'm gonna try not to butcher this. Yusei Kikuchi. He's actually having a pretty solid season if you kind of look at the numbers. He's 6-3, 3.18 ERA. If you look at his last start, it was against the Blue Jays on July 1st. He went 7 innings, only give up 1 earned run, and that's a pretty good lineup in the Blue Jays. So, what are you expecting the Yankees to do off of him tonight? He's a tough left-hander.
I'm worried they used it all up last night. I'm not gonna lie. I would love to say that I think the Yankees are going to come out and stay hot, and I hope they do. But the pessimist in me has seen it too many times this year where you've, had a good couple of games, built some momentum, and then you run up against somebody that you haven't seen in a while, and the offense goes to sleep, and you start Nick Nelson tonight, who might get roughed up.
Yeah.
If Nick Nelson comes in and walks the ballpark to load the bases in the first inning with nobody out, I'm not going to be surprised because it's happened before. And if the Yankees get 2 hits in 8 innings off of Kikuchi, you say Kikuchi, I say Kikuchi. I think that's how we say it. If that happens, it's just going to be same old for this team. I'm hoping that somebody will run into one. I'm hoping Judge or Sanchez or somebody will run into like a 2 or 3 run home run early and, maybe give Nelson some breathing room.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to be sick to my stomach if we see like Kikuchi pitch pretty well and then Nick Nelson like absolutely just performs like garbage in the first or second inning. And then we see like Domingo Germán warming up in the bullpen. I would actually be nauseous to the point where I might vomit on live for the post game simply because you're telling me like if you could bring Domingo in like the second or third inning, you can't have him start the game and just kind of avoid this catastrophe before it happens. So it's like, I don't know. You think we're going to see Domingo at all tonight?
No, I think
probably
that's
not.
Somebody said gamesmanship. I think that's a correct analysis. I know that when I have a root canal, I feel very loopy, and you can't eat for a while, so he probably didn't have dinner. He's probably not going to be feeling strong. I just don't think we're going to see him.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But listen, shout out to Jesus with the $5 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. He says, I'm off, about to eat dinner and get ready for the game. See you in the post game. Derek, see you tomorrow morning. Let's go, Yankees. Don't mess with the Jesus. Bro, Jesus is a legend. Appreciate you so much, Jesus. Yeah, I kind of doubt we're going to see Domingo either. I think it's another one of those cases where it's like, remember earlier on in the season when Judge was dealing with something and they're like, well, he might be available off the bench. They do that all the time, but they're never truly available off of the bench anywhere. They're never coming in the game. So if you guys are thinking you're going to see Domingo Germán tonight, it's not going to happen. Bro, watch him come in like the second inning now. Listen, shout to you, Elvis, the $5 dono. Appreciate you, Elvis. He says,
dude, you're crushing it tonight.
I try my best. And bring in Adam Eaton. I saw people bringing this up, especially in the YouTube comment section. Oh, bring in Adam Eaton. Bro, that might be the stupidest thing ever, because if you're DFAing Gardner just to bring in Adam Eaton, there's literally no point in doing that. You're replacing Brett Gardner with Brett Gardner, essentially.
That's exactly what you're doing. Look, I haven't seen Adam Eaton play in a couple of years, except for when he plays against the Yankees. And he hasn't been impressive to me since he was with the Nationals. So yeah, I just don't want him.
Yeah, no. If I'm DFAing Gardner,
get somebody good.
Exactly. If I'm DFAing Gardner, I'm either A, trading for like a Joey Gallo, or B, I'm calling up Trey Amberkey or Hoyjon Park, who hashtag free Amberkey, hashtag free Park in the chat, because they need to be called up. Like, it's actually sickening at this point. But I appreciate you, Elvis, with the $5 dono. Derek, we're kind of talking about those two guys right now. Truly, like deep down in your heart, do you think we see either of them at any point this season? Yes or no?
I think we're one injury away from seeing one of them. Like if somebody has a serious injury, like if Judge gets hurt or something like that,
knock on wood.
Right,
double knocking here.
If if Gardner gets hurt, you might see somebody. Might see Park come up, because if Gardner gets hurt, then Odor is your only lefty at this point. Wade
Gardner
just
doesn't get hurt though. He just doesn't. Like, no matter what happens, Gardner could tear his ACL. He'll still be playing.
I think they sent down Tyler Wade so that he could play center field for a few weeks. Would not surprise me, because he was doing a nice job in center field. And I think they want to get a look at him in center. I mean, it's just a hypothesis. They want to see if he can play center field and how he's swinging the bat. If he goes down there and rakes and he plays a nice center field, I could see him coming back up and being your center fielder.
Yeah, I think they did him kind of dirty. It was a little bit weird what they did to Tyler Wade, because personally, like the Tim LeCastro acquisition, it still doesn't really make that much sense to me. I understand, bro. He's very fast. He's one of the fastest players in the league. I think second, according to sprint speed. But I mean, I truly think that you already had a guy on the roster in him, in Tyler Wade. I understand he's a lefty. LeCastro's a righty, plays a little bit more positions, a little bit better as well. But I think that there was kind of no point in acquiring Tim LeCastro. If you wanted another outfielder, I think you have better options in AAA. I don't know. Hopefully it makes sense moving forward. But right now, I still don't understand the acquisition of Tim LeCastro.
I think they just wanted some speed. I mean, he's basically one of the fastest guys in baseball. And I did notice something. I'm not sure if you saw my morning show this morning, but when he was on first base last night, DJ got pitched differently than he would if Gardner was on first base, or Frazier. You cannot throw in the dirt with LeCastro on first base, because if you hit the dirt, he's going to take second base, and then you've got a runner in scoring position for DJ, and you don't want that.
Fair.
So
I mean, no, it's fair for sure.
Different. Yeah.
Speaking of Frazier, though, what do you think happens when he comes back?
I don't think he's coming back.
You don't?
I don't think he's coming back.
That's a little ominous, Derek.
Vertigo, those concussion symptoms, they're not going to play any games with that. The kid's hitting 200. You're not going to come back and stick him right out there in a pennant race, hopefully. And if the Yankees are out of it, you got no reason to put him out there and risk him. I don't think we're going to see Clint Frazier again this year.
In the sense of he's not going to be healthy, or the sense of like they're going to leave him in like the minors or something?
I just think they're going to be extremely cautious, because it's a head injury, with the concussion protocols and things like that. Right now, he's having all sorts of tests. We have no idea what those tests are going to reveal. But I think at minimum, you give him a few weeks off to make sure that, the concussion symptoms don't come back. And then you need to ramp him up slowly, very slowly. And by that point, hopefully the Yankees are in a pennant race. And if they're not in a pennant race, then it's like, well, let's just shut him down, be super careful, and do what we do in the offseason or next year. If if I'm speculating based on what I've seen before with head injuries, you're not going to see it. He's not going to be back.
I feel so bad for Clint. And that's not just because like I love Clint Frazier as a human being, bro. I just feel so bad like how his career is gone. The one season we think he's actually going to get traded somewhere and maybe like flourish in another organization, that doesn't look like it's going to happen right now because I don't know who's going to trade for a guy who's dealing with vertigo. So I have no idea. I truly hope that he improves. But listen, shout out to Jesus Travels with another $5 dono. Appreciate you, Jesus. Racking them up. Wait, did you make that sound? Like,
yeah,
on your channel? That's you. The recorded one.
Oh no, the recorded one. There's an air horn sound that I downloaded.
I was like, wait, because it sounded identical.
I just play it so much that I can.
Listen, shout out to you, Jesus. He says, I'm back. Don't forget, he's back. Don't mention Judge. Dan is out there waiting to pounce on anyone who mentions Judge. Be careful. Appreciate the dono, Jesus. I don't know if you saw on the Pat and Dan show. It was either like this week's episode, last week's episode. Me and Dan kind of had a conversation as to whether or not like maybe it's a possibility that the Yankees maybe think about trading Aaron Judge. He's obviously completely closed-minded to the idea. But for me personally, I'm open to anything and everything. There's not one guy on the Yankees roster right now where you could maybe throw a trade suggestion out there and I wouldn't at least listen to it. I think, obviously, I wouldn't want to trade Aaron Judge, but if you get a ridiculous package proposal to you, it's worth consideration at this point.
Not So Family Fun Vision says Dan had a breakdown. So, as a content creator, you know that you have certain videos in your pocket that you can go to. If there's a trade rumor or something, or if you just want to invent a rumor out of your head that, you know, if you really want to do that, you can do that and you'll get views. I could do a video tomorrow that says the Yankees should or shouldn't trade. Actually, I should, if I made a video that would get a ton of views, it would be like the Yankees should trade Aaron Judge, yeah. or will the Yankees trade Aaron Judge? And I guarantee it gets 20,000 views, probably makes me a couple $100. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to cross that bridge. Every time it creeps into my mind that he's turning 31, and would I, if I were running this franchise, responsibly give this guy $200 million? Of course not. And every time that creeps into my head, I have to push it aside. The smart move, let's be objective about this and take off our fan hats for a second. The smart move would be to trade Aaron Judge this deadline and get as much as you can for him. But the Yankees are not going to do that. You're not going to trade somebody that's got his own section in right field and somebody who's as good of a person as Aaron Judge and somebody who sells as many jerseys. And let's be clear, Aaron Judge, I think, is part of the solution to the problem. I'm still not giving him a $200 million check. If he says, I want $200 million, I want $250 million, I'm sorry. Get it from somewhere else. It's going to be like Robinson Cano, where all of Yankee land is heartbroken for a few years, but then he falls off. I don't see Aaron Judge at his size playing to 37 effectively. I think the Yankees should try to extend him this offseason for like a few years through his age 34 season and have the extension kick in at like $32, $33 million, some kind of really big number, so that he says, yes, you cannot sign this guy past age 35. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's very fair, and that's why when I kind of say, like, if the Yankees aren't planning on kind of extending him or re-signing him, then maybe you kind of take trade offers. But I kind of disagree with you in the sense of extending him after the season, simply because I hate extensions in general, right? I think that extensions don't make sense. I think if you're going to re-sign a guy, wait until he's actually a free agent. I guess you maybe don't want to compete with every other team. However, I think at the same time, it would be smarter for a guy like Aaron Judge, who you want to see how he performs next season before you do give him an extension. I think it would be a smarter thing to do to kind of wait until he hits free agency. And I think he would kind of hit it if he was asking for too much money. I think he would kind of face a realization that if he's asking for too much, a lot of teams won't be giving that to him because of, like what you said, you don't really see him aging too well as such a massive human being.
Just one more point on that, if I can. The reason I still know how long you're planning on going. The game starts in 20 minutes, but the reason that I make a lot of videos where I suggest that the Yankees should really aggressively try and move Giancarlo Stanton. I know about his no trade clause. I know he doesn't want to go certain places. I'm aware of these things, people. I still want them to try and do it. If he says, I want a yacht or I want some custom made dog from Germany, you do it. whatever it is. Like you've got to find a way to get him off the roster, because what I really want is for the Yankees to transition Aaron Judge into a full-time DH in a couple of years. You're also going to have Gary Sanchez. I think he's starting to rake again, but he's not going to be able to catch forever. Would be nice to have him as a DH part of the time. And Giancarlo Stanton just clogs up your DH spot, and he can't play the outfield. So yeah. I think Oakland, I keep saying Oakland. It's on the West Coast. It's not a media circus. He can go there and relax, and Oakland is competitive every year. He could realistically win a World Series MVP with the Oakland A's this year. He could.
They're not paying him, though.
Well, the Yankees would have to eat a lot of the salary, but they'd have, if you give $10 million of that per year, he becomes a bargain. A $10 million DH, he basically becomes your Nelson Cruz for his next 5 or 6 years. That's something the A's could afford. And you could staple on a good prospect, like a decent prospect, maybe an Anthony Siegler, who's a promising catcher who really hasn't done it in the minor leagues, or somebody of that ilk who has a higher upside. The A's might be willing to do that. It's just a question of what does Giancarlo want? Maybe he wants a helicopter with his face on it, more bench pressing of supermodels. I don't know what he wants, but give him whatever he wants, as long as it's not a Yankees pinstripe jersey.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, I would trade Giancarlo Stanton if the kind of package is right in the Yankees' return. I'll say that much. But kind of going back to tonight's game before we do wrap things up tonight, Derek, what do we think the final score prediction is going to be? Do we think that they pull it out against Kikuchi with Nelson on the mound?
I don't know, man. If I had to make a prediction, I'm gonna say 5-2 Mariners.
Oh, This is a tough game to call because I don't know how Nelson's going to do. It could go either really good or really bad. But I'm going to predict a loss tonight too, I guess. I don't think the Yankees offense does so poorly, but I think the Yankees pitching does. I think they lose tonight 6-3. I don't know if that's just me being like negative Patty here, but like I'm not too confident in Nick Nelson. I'm not too confident in whoever they're going to throw in after him. I could definitely see them like throwing in Wandy Peralta again just for the hell of it. But also, I think the Yankees are probably going to struggle against Kikuchi. However, if I'm not mistaken, they faced him in 2019, and I think they rocked him.
I don't remember that. They may have. I saw every game in 2019, but I honestly don't remember him. But also, his numbers are better this year than they have been in the past.
Fair. Very fair. Okay, so looking at his start against the Yankees in 2019, I was very wrong. It looks like one start he pitched very well against them. It was on May 8th, 2019. He went 7 2/3, gave up 1 run. But then later in August 27th, he gave up 5 earned runs in 4 innings. So it could go either way tonight. You really don't know. I see a lot of people in the chat being optimistic. Yankees win 9-5. Yankees win 6-5. Win 8-4. 5-3 win. Yankees 6-4. 12-0 Yankees. Chat's pretty optimistic. We're not. Hopefully they prove us wrong. But with that being said, Derek, you have anything else you want to hit on before we wrap things up tonight?
I just want to say I love doing this podcast, especially when you host it. Like, you're so much better at hosting a 2-man podcast than I am because you do it all the time.
Yeah.
The only time I ever talk to
pretty good, Derek.
I do when I do the Zoom calls, it's pretty fun, but I always pre-write out my like questions and stuff. But you're just good at that. I love doing the 643. So shout out to all the people who joined and who make this what it is.
You're watching the 643 DP podcast with Derek and Patrick.